first example of that you're going to see. Now, as far as the proofs that will show up on quizzes, tests, and the final, they'll all be proofs where I'll give you the statements. So I'll do the sequencing of statements. You simply need to identify what corresponding reasons justify those statements. All right, so let's talk through this proof. Right, whenever you're trying to prove that triangles are congruent, you have one of those four congruence patterns that you're working toward: SSS, SAS, ASA, and AAS. So when you look at what's given here, A, B, and CD are equal. You're also told that AD and BC are equal. So right now, between those two triangles that we're looking to show are congruent, we have two pairs of sides. So we either need the included angles, A and C, to be equal, or we need the other side. Which one is going to be easier to get? The other side, right? Because it's actually drawn up right there. It's a shared side. So in order to introduce a side that's shared, you have to explain that it is equal to itself. Right? And so do you guys remember the property that justifies something being equal to itself?
Reflexive.
It's reflexive. And it's like looking in a mirror. So reflexive property allows you to introduce that third element. So now we have three pair of angles that are congruent. That's enough to show that the triangles themselves are congruent. So ABD is congruent to A is opposite 3 tick marks, just like C. B is opposite 2 tick marks, just like D in the other triangle. And D of the first triangle is opposite 1 tick mark, just like B of the second triangle. Okay, so that's the statement that we were looking to achieve. So the justification for this is that congruence pattern SSS. Right? So all of the congruence patterns are allowable justifications. Since we didn't prove them, they're all postulated. So they're postulates, but you can use any of the four. Now, let's say instead of asking you to show that these triangles were congruent, let's say I asked instead to show that angle A and angle C were equal to each other. Okay, if that was the process, or if that was the statement you were supposed to end with, you would do all of these same steps, and then you'd add one extra step, and that is, once you show that triangles are congruent, then you know, based on this statement, that all the corresponding pieces or parts of those triangles are congruent as well. So if we were asked to show that just these two elements, A and C, were equal, we could show the whole triangle as being congruent. And once you had that, you can make the statement that any given part of those were congruent. What would justify that? Ian? Good. This is that idea that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So CPCTC, we can also call this definition of congruence. Okay, so based on this statement, remember the statement says that these triangles are equal in all respects, which means that any given corresponding parts of them will also be equal.